Welcome to Simply Walk the Talk. Our bodies and minds adapt to what we do most of the time. If you want to change your body and mind, you must change what it is you do most of the time. This podcast explores all things health, wellness, fitness, lifestyle, and biohacking. Stay tuned as we explore various thoughts, methods, and experiences from a multitude of conversations between our interesting guests and experts through many fields of work. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Simply walk the talk. Simply walk the talk.
So man, what's happening? So we got Mr. Todd Fox.
We got Mr. Josh Holland.
And we figured why not record in this amazing place, especially considering the work you do, the work I do. I think it makes sense that we're in something that is secure.
Nothing says security like a vault. and by the way, this vault is like 500 years old.
Wow.
And this is not 500, but the actual vault is.
We actually had to have special permission just to even be in here.
We did. That's a true story.
Yeah, I guess apparently they only use this once a year. But anyway, I wanted to ask you because even for myself, it's really interesting to understand as I've worked with you for now a couple tours. I've asked a few questions here and there. But people always wonder, what does a head of security do? What exactly is your role?
That's the tricky thing, right? Because people see a big dude, not a small dude. They see guys walking around with an artist, and they think it's just shadowing somebody. But most of our job is logistics. It's coordination. It's planning. It's choreography. So we're writing advances. We're sending it ahead of where we're going: airports, hotels, arenas, stadiums. Telling them what we want, how we want it done, how we're utilizing money, creating primary plans, creating alternate plans, creating contingency plans, emergency plans, and then kind of going through that. So you walk through all of that, put it in place, convey it to the team, and then in theory, you're ready to go if something goes wrong.
And how long have you been doing this in general?
I started my company in '99, but I was doing this in the Marines in the '90s, so a little bit of time.
Yeah, I do find it fascinating that most people would think that you're gonna be a big jack dude.
It's not me.
I mean, in some instances that might work to your advantage, don't you think?
Yeah, so if I'm trying to move around quietly under the radar, right? We're trying to be low profile. So a low pro detail where I don't want to draw attention to my client, I want to be small. I want to be the average size guy. I'm 5'10", 180, I'm the average guy. In most markets. Where we're at now, not so much because the guys are huge, but if I'm big, I draw attention. So now you see this small little girl and then this big, huge dude next to her, and it draws attention. And that's the opposite of what we want most of the time. Sometimes we want a heavy presence when we need it, but usually that's an outer layer, that's outside a door, that's making a movement, not the guy planning, coordinating, organizing, and actually carrying out this thing.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say, if you had to identify pros and cons of what you do, your work, what would you think would be a pro and a con?
The con is easy. Aside from having long hours and constantly away from home, if you do security perfectly, completely clean, the result is nothing happens. So the result of all the advancing and all the walkthroughs and all the coordination and all the assessments is nothing. So financially, that's kind of difficult because you're producing nothing for the client. And at the end of the day, your result is nothing. So now you have to put a value on it. How we do that is by reversing it and saying, look at this organization, this group of people, this celebrity. When they didn't do these things, it cost them X amount of dollars. Yeah. By doing these things, we prevented that loss. So that's probably the worst. And then the best is, as you know, getting to travel around the world, meet interesting people, see things you'd never ever see anywhere, do podcasts in rooms like this, right? Stay in hotels like this and meet interesting people like Juan,
yeah,
right? That's a gift.
Absolutely.
It's a massive gift.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're such a wealth of knowledge, and I was really excited to see that you finally put some content out there. So, so like, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so we didn't do any social media at all until 2020. And in 2020, this thing called COVID hit, and that shut us down. So no tours, no films on location, most of the executives weren't traveling. And what that meant is we had to generate income. And I wrote another book. I wrote the third book in 2020. And to sell that book, you need social, right? You need social media that helps you. That platform pushes it out. So started that and started doing bits and pieces, little interviews, podcasts, little bits about where we're going, what we're doing, without showing who it is, without showing, which hotel we're in. And it pays dividends for sales, as you know.
Yeah.
So now I'm taking a class from Josh on that. He's teaching me on the master class.
Yeah, no, it is really fascinating, and I see the hustle, and we've had many conversations because there's a lot of similarity and crossover in what we do. At the same time, there's a lot of differences, and it wasn't until right now that I understood that piece about you're doing your job if nothing happens, right?
The result is nothing.
The result is nothing, which I think is an interesting concept. For me, it's almost the exact opposite,
It is.
right? To a certain extent, like as long as my clients don't get injured or hurt or whatever, then okay, we're doing well. But I almost have to use their results as something that like allows me to get hired again and again and again.
I think that metric is very clear for you. So in this case, we're working with an older artist, and with that artist, if he doesn't stay in top health, he can't continue to perform at the level that he's performing at.
Yeah.
So there is that. And I think it's easier to draw a correlation because you can see when you're feeding him right, when you're training him right, when you're stretching him right, all of these factors work in concert, no pun intended. And the net result is he's capable of traveling. He's capable of performing multiple shows in a city at an age where most people are barely able to move around. This guy's performing at a high level. Yeah. So I think your result is much more visible and tangible in many ways. And then, he can feel the difference in his body, which means that keeping you on payroll is not as questionable as somebody that produces nothing as a result. Right.
Yeah.
And also the value of that too is that we can do moves or things that maybe he wouldn't be physically capable of from a security perspective if you didn't do your job.
Well
so
said.
There's that crossover there.
Well said. Yeah, well said. It is fascinating work. People ask me all the time about like touring, and I love it. Obviously, there are pros and cons, like you correctly pointed out. But it's a trade-off no matter what. Like
everything's a trade-off. Everything is a trade-off.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get it. And the thing with you is that you're maximizing your time on the road and what you're doing, and you're very efficient with how you utilize that time. You see the opportunities, you maximize that. You see these disadvantages, you kind of cut that out. Yeah. And being on the road just creates a wealth of opportunities, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, I say to people all the time, like, I will do this as long as I'm able to, And it is nice to have people working for me or working with me. I like to say working with me because it allows me to branch out. I know we talked about that. I think we talked about that on the last tour. Right? Yeah.
Because you hit a ceiling. As an individual, you hit a ceiling. This is the maximum you're going to make. Yeah. So unless you have that network of people that you can refer to or that you can bring in to a tour or a film or whatever, and Josh and I have had several crossover clients, right?
Yeah, we have.
and that's kind of cool when you're working with the same people or you know the same people and you're able to kind of do things their way. Hey, do you know how she did this thing? Like, yeah, okay, cool. Let's do it that way.
Perfect. Yeah. Right? Yeah, and also I think it helps with the camaraderie amongst the group, because that is another piece that is, I think, not so focused on or people don't realize is you have to have this, what I call a family or a brotherhood in order for things to work well. Everybody's kind of looking after each other. If you see someone may have dropped the ball or might drop the ball because they're doing something else, just take care of it. And
it's preemptive care. And I think that's happening, right? Because we're working out, we may be talking about situations, we may be discussing what is the best method of care for an individual. Yeah. And we have to have the same goal. which is longevity in this case, to continue on the tour that we're on. But also there's a lot of trash talking that goes on, isn't there, Josh?
Of course. I mean, this dude's choked me out multiple times. But I find that part to be fascinating because, like, where I come from, I was known as the badass, you know what I mean? I was known as the guy that, like even my Uncle Mike, when he comes on tour, he's like, he knows me as the Karate Kid. And then I just told him, I'm like, all of these guys right here, like I would hope to be able to survive in the ring with them, but it's humbling because I think everyone is at the top of their field in what we're doing on these tours, and that's what's important.
Yeah, it's cool. It's good to be amongst the top tier, right? It's a good place to be,
Yeah. So yeah, this is good times.
Sweet. Here we are, guys. If you haven't heard anything we said, it's okay because this is beautiful.
Yeah.
And you're never gonna probably see a podcast from a vault again like this.
I mean, should we look and see what's inside?
Let's do it. Let's do it. Come on. Let's see if we can find something. Look in there. See what you can find, Josh. If anything is open, I'll be. See, I'm sure you can get one open, right? Oh. Oh yeah! Look what I found.
The treasure. That's the ultimate treasure. Oh, good times, man. Good times. All right, well, that's Todd Fox, and
This is Josh Holland.
It's Josh Holland, and maybe we do more of these. I think this is kind of fun.
Yeah, let's do it.
Why not?
Let's make it happen.
If you can find more vaults.
This is gonna be a hard one, guys. Yeah, this is stunning.
Yeah. Well, whoever's watching this, if you end up having any questions that you would like answered from either one of us, let us know.
That's a good fitness and security combined. It's a good team. I can't do that, but I can do this.
All right, cool. Bam. We out.
Simply walk the talk.
Walk the talk, talking facts. Move like me, but I move a little fast. Make my move, here to last. Fasten these seatbelts, I'm coming past. Take care of me, longevity. Hack my biology, better believe. Walking the talk, soul, mind, and body connected. Better come give us a listen.